Hey, this is Daryl as a service for Regarding 365, and I'm meeting Rebecca Jackson. Hey, Rebecca, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, great. Oh, it's a bit rainy here today, and I understand that you're in a lovely part of the world, enjoying some sun.
Yeah, I wish I could show you the view outside. It's 32 degrees and blue skies. It's gorgeous.
Awesome. Wow. You and I both went to the Digital Workplace Conference recently, and I learned that you have been working on a blog post with a few others around some good use cases for Yammer. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so in the Yammer blogger community, we put ideas out all the time for blog posts and collaborate on them. And an idea I had recently was about how I use a test group to test things in Yammer before I put them out to the general populace. And I did a quick draft of that post and put it out into the blogger community. And a few people have jumped in with additional great ideas, and we fleshed out what I think is a really, really useful blog post.
Yeah, I think I like that about the Yammer community. I mean, it makes sense that those who champion it are actually championing a collaboration on most efforts like this, co-authoring blog posts and sharing ideas.
Yeah, and we use Yammer to do that as well, which is very meta, but also appropriate. I mean, that's what Yammer's about. So we're all in an external Yammer group together. We post our blog posts in there, comment on them, and riff back and forth before Alison gives the final go-ahead for it to be published in the Yammer tech community.
Cool, cool. Now tell us a bit more about the tips themselves. I understand that it's something around testing and making sure that things are okay.
Yeah, so it felt like a really simple idea, and I wasn't sure if it was going to turn into a really good blog post. But I have a test group in our Yammer network that a few people are in, and it's closed. And we use it when we want to test a new feature or to see what some content looks like before it goes out, or if something is not working for people. We can use that closed group to play around with things and do it in a way that nobody else sees it. So we're not spamming the entire network with muckabout stuff, and we can get quality on comms and stuff before we send it out to everyone
Mm,
else.
mm. Yeah, I see that that would be useful for internal comms, which, when it's done in email, there's often a test of let's send this to see what the format looks like and is it sitting well. And it makes sense to do that in Yammer as well, just to
Yep.
see if it privately it's going to land well. And yeah, cool. Now, there's a couple of other ideas that the group or your co-authors passed around too. Something around training and testing.
Yeah, one of the other bloggers had well, they use their testing group for also training new people. So
Right.
Jason Su put forward the idea that he does, which is having new starters and actually doing the training in a private group. So you've got kind of this safe environment for people to do their testing in.
Mm.
Matthew Dodd from Bankwest, he has a private group as well. I think he calls it development or something, and he has the IT team in there, so they're looking at new features and stuff.
Oh, so that's a little like early release and early seeing things like maybe the Q&A feature when that was coming. Let's experiment with that, get familiar with it so we can better support it.
Yeah, exactly right. We've got a few screenshots in the blog post that show that happening.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, apart from those other two suggestions, is there anything else that you comes to mind about using private groups for testing things out and within networks? Where do you see private groups being used a lot?
Certainly private groups specifically where people want something private. That's the obvious answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
In our network, our CXO have a private group. There's also a private people managers group. So private groups tend to be either one where it doesn't matter that people know the group's there, but the content is not that which we want to kind of fill the network up with,
Mm.
and or groups where it's confidential information. So our executive group and people managers, they'll be sharing information that is not suitable for the rest of the business, so they use a private group for that.
Right. Right. Now, I mean, there's a lot of activity that's kind of happening around Yemen now. For a while, it seemed that things were still happening in the background. They were still trying to get infrastructure right, and it seems that there's a lot of developments, improvements in the product that are being released. Some which we've expected to see in the product for some time have finally arrived. But what would you say about Yammer's place now in the productivity toolset in Office 365?
It's clear to me from the features that are being released, the fact that there's a roadmap, the fact that there's a dedicated product team, the fact that there's demand for Yammer bloggers to be releasing information, that Yammer is still here and certainly not dead. And it's just like any of the other tools in the Microsoft 365 toolset. It will be appropriate for some organizations, but maybe not appropriate for others. It's about use cases. But in terms of Yammer being a viable, available and growing tool, it absolutely still is.
Mm. And you've got quite years of experience around intranets. Certainly that story's been strengthened in terms of Yammer and intranets too.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of discussion, or has been a lot of discussion over the years. Can Yammer be an intranet? Does Yammer kill intranets? Are intranets dead? The same thing that people sometimes say about Yammer. I think the important thing is that when we're looking at tools like this for our businesses, that it's the right tool for the job and that they work together. So, our intranet, for instance, we're on SharePoint Online and we have a Yammer embed feed on the homepage of the intranet because it's a key communication channel in our business. But Yammer can't replace our intranet or vice versa.
Yeah. So you find the combination of the conversation embedded alongside the content does help the engagement on the intranet?
I think so. There's a lot of pages on our intranet where the page will be about a particular topic and there'll be a related Yammer group. So I've got a help and support page and I embed the digital workplace feed on that page. So if people are looking for that content, they can see there's discussion happening. We've got pages for all of our locations at NextDC, and every one of those locations has a Yammer feed as well. So on the location page, there's a Yammer feed. So if you look for information about a site, you'll find your way to the Yammer feed as well, which will have updates about progress if there's construction happening, all the way through to, hey, lunch is ready and we're having pizza today.
Right, so really quite relevant live feed stuff about what's happening in that location. Brilliant. And I guess tying that back to private groups, that's where you might want to test some of these things before you actually push that out to the different discussion groups.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things that I like to test is if I'm using a GIF or something like a link where it might show a preview. That's not always reliable, just like it's not always reliable when you do it in social media or LinkedIn. So seeing what that preview is going to look like and tweaking it to get the engagement right in the post. There's nothing worse than posting something to All Company and realizing it looks awful and kind of just missing the mark.
Yeah, that makes me think of some of those early links that were posted, and they were links to SharePoint sites, but they came up with that crazy PNG that was almost like a bitmap with all the different possible characters and things that are, I know what you mean. It'll grab that first image and try and use that as the thumbnail. Actually, what I do like about some recent updates there is, again, something you would expect to see in there for a while, but being able to hyperlink text, so we don't have to drop in this ugly looking link. Yeah.
And our network was so excited about that. I always drop in, I've got a Yammer 101 group, and when new stuff comes along after I've tested it, I drop that in, hey, question and answers coming. But when rich text came, people were really excited about that. They've been asking for that for ages, and now we see it all the time, people using, especially bolding. Often people want the look of an announcement without doing an announcement, and I'm seeing that behavior happen a lot in our network.
Yeah, I welcome that, because sometimes announcements can be overused, can't they?
Sometimes absolutely.
Network managers can take that same announcement and post it into different groups, and then you get it 5 times. Not quite the design. Rebecca, thanks for talking with us and telling us a bit more about the article, and I hope that you get a lot of engagement out of that there are people that leave their comments and their other ideas about how they're using private groups and even just groups in general. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading the article and the collaboration between all the co-authors. Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye now.